Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the emergency shutdown versus the emergency rundown. In other words, powering off the unit or quenching the unit versus quenching the unit. So we're going to look at these two different components and why we might use them, just to get an idea. There's a lot of things that we can do out there to keep our patients safe. It's important for us to know what we can and can't do and what we should do in what situation. Now, the emergency shutdown is a situation where we actually turn off the power to the system itself, right? Where we actually cut the electricity to the table, the computers, to the system. We don't turn off the magnetic field. The magnetic field is still on. The emergency shutdown cuts power to the table, so it turns off power. But the magnetic field is still on. So we don't shut off the magnetic field. It's still active. It's still on. Why would we want to do that? What's the benefit of that? Well, sometimes if there's going to be if we find ourselves in a situation where there's a fire in the room, or maybe there's a flood in the room, we might choose to do an emergency shutdown to cut the power to the system to reduce the risk of becoming electrocuted or other issues in the room. So we do an emergency shutdown in those situations. Fire, flood, and if the patient is in danger, so let's say that we're in a situation where a patient is pinned against the scanner. They're pinned against the scanner with an O2 tank. Now we need to shut off the magnetic field itself. We just said that an emergency shutdown cuts the power, but the magnetic field is on. This is the misconception. It's just because you cut power to the scanner doesn't mean that that magnetic field turns off. You need to actually quench the magnet or do an emergency rundown. So we can do an emergency rundown or a quench. And this will turn off the magnetic field. This process is somewhat dangerous as well. There's risks involved with it. If there's a leak in the vent pipe, it could leak cryogen in the room. We also run the risk of costing a lot of money to the organization. So the cost is not a big deal if someone's in danger. That's a given. We want to make sure we help someone. But if there's just a piece of equipment stuck to the side of a scanner, no one's in harm's way, we don't want to press the quench button. And we only press that button if someone's in harm's way due to that static magnetic field. There's other processes out there where service engineer can come out and remove the current from the system safely without causing damage to the system, without removing any of the helium, and then put it back when they're done. So when they do service, they can remove the charge from the magnet and then recharge it afterwards. So these are the two main things that we might run into. Main process we run into: the emergency shutdown cuts the power to the system but leaves the magnetic field on. And then this one, the emergency rundown or quench, which actually removes the cryogen from the system, which turns off the static magnetic field. So I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching.